Welcome in, everybody. This is the Fantasy Alarm NFL Game Day live stream here for Week 16. I'm John Impemba with Andrew Cooper. And Coop, man, for those still in the playoffs, we've had yet another kind of wild week here when it comes to players that are in or players that are out of lineups for these matchups here. Again, COVID coming down and hitting some key players pretty big. Obviously, we got the word this morning. Travis Kelce is officially ruled out. We got the word yesterday that Tyler Huntley, the savior of some teams over the last few weeks, he is now out for Baltimore. We know that Buffalo and their receiving group there with Gabe Davis and Cole Beasley has been hit. Mike Williams is out. Austin Eckler is out. So it's some trying times here when it comes to the NFL with that. And that's not even mentioning guys who are out due to injury, like Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette. A lot of big key names not available this week.
I'll tell you what, man, I've been playing this game for like 20 years now, and it used to be so much easier. Like when I first started playing, it was like, yeah, you take Marshall Faulk or LaDainian Tomlinson or Priest Holmes, and like that's your team, and then you just figure out the rest.
Right.
Now, not only is it more difficult now from that standpoint, but this is probably going to go down as the most difficult era of fantasy football like ever, right? Because not only is there's split backfields and all these different personnel groups and formations, but now we have COVID, right? It's a nightmare, man. So we're here to help you navigate it. Get your questions into the Discord now. If you aren't a Fantasy Alarm member and are just following me or John on Twitter or whatever, and you're seeing the stream right now, we have two deals going, right? We have the end of season DFS deal. If you're eliminated, I think it's only $30 and you get access to our NFL Discord for the NFL
Pro package. Get the whole
Pro package, for the rest of the year. And that also gets you into our Discord where you can ask questions about your lineups, these lineups. You can ask questions about DFS lineups, like you're in. So, get in on that. And then, of course, we have our holiday deal, which is the best deal that we ever do. 25% off, not only just NFL, but all our sports through the rest of the year, all the way around to 2023. Mm-hmm. It's you're in, and you're a member and you're part of the family. So get on.
Yeah, no better time right now. Like I said, you go fantasyslam.com/getanfl, use promo code playoffs, and you get like 85% off the package there. And as Coop said, that gets you access to us for not only the next couple of weeks of the regular season, but all the way through the playoffs as well. The DFS content doesn't stop. We do showdown slates. We cover them for the playoffs. Any sort of contests that come out for DFS, and also sort of the seasonal pools that come out. We do content for that as well. To keep the NFL season going, to keep the winning going there. So fantasyslam.com/getanfl, promo code playoffs. Just for the rest of the season for NFL. And then, as Coop said, our holiday package is still going on right now. It's till 2023. You just make that one payment. You get access to like 13, 14 sports that are going on. I mean, the NFL is winding down. We're in the middle of the NBA and the NHL seasons. PGA, the official main PGA swing, is starting up shortly. So we have all that coverage. Of course, Mike Alexander continues to kill it with his MMA. Matt Sells and Dan Malin. We got NASCAR coming around soon here as well. So, I mean, you name it, we cover it. And no better time to join in now. And as Coop said, you get access to our premium Discord, answering your start-sit questions, lineup questions that you may have, waiver questions that you may have. Whatever it takes to help you guys win, we're in there. And myself and Coop and Howard Bender, who's happy birthday to Howard, by the way, not to just throw that to the side here, but Howard's birthday today. Adam Roda, James Grande, Sells, Colby Conway, Ryan Helm, the whole team. We're all in there. You get access to us to help you guys win. So be sure to go ahead and check out those deals that we got going on this moment, because it is, as Scoop said, really no better time right now to join in.
Right, and we're talking like Matthew Sells. You mentioned Matthew Sells. He's a back-to-back Fantasy Sports Writer Association NASCAR Writer of the Year. Right, like you're not going to get better. Like if you like NASCAR, there's no better source for that, and that's only one of 13 sports that we do. So,
yeah, exactly. There's just so much that we have, and more that we have coming down the pipeline too. So, we're always changing, evolving, and updating what we're doing around here. So, make sure you get in there and come join the family, because again, we're here to help you guys win. So. But Coop, like I said, we're here to help people win, and it is playoff time. It's crunch time. I'm in the semifinals in a handful of leagues. I got some roster decisions that I'm kind of going back and forth with, especially with sort of now all this available, sort of like backups moving into starting spots. And now you're wondering, all right, well, do I trust this guy that's been starting for me, or do I play a Josh Palmer now that is going to be the number 2 receiver against Houston, or a Tyler Johnson that could be bumped into a bigger role today for Tampa Bay? Like there's a lot of guys now that become more valuable. We've seen a lot of questions. Do I play Justin Jackson today, or do I play Alexander Madison, right? Because Dalvin Cook's out and Austin Eckler's out. Which direction are you going with these things? So we're already getting a lot of these start-sit questions in our Discord. Again, Coop and I will be in there shortly to start answering these for you all. But I mean, Coop, when it comes to this week, and I ask you this every week, what are some of the things that you're looking for as we head into Week 16 and some of these matchups specifically?
Yeah, I mean, what we've been looking for the last couple of weeks is the same thing, and I don't think it really has changed. Is that now that it's crunch time, we need to know who we can trust and who we can't trust, right? Like you need to separate who you even want to have on your roster, especially with COVID and stuff. Like if there's a guy that even has a threat of getting you a 0, like a Cortland Sutton type guy, like you can eject that player at this point. So I'm still looking at guys like, Amon-Ra St. Brown. These guys have come on recently that we think we can trust. Like this is the week where we see if we want to actually, lean on them and whether we think this guy can be a stud for us. I mean, there's a few guys across the league. Russell Gage, right? Mm-hmm. Came on recently, all year long, not a guy you can trust. And now you start looking at those guys that you've just been putting in your lineup because of their name, right? Like, some maybe even a Robbie Anderson or a DJ right. Moore. It's like now is when it's, you need to know who you can trust, who you can't. So that's what I'm looking for. And like you said, we have backups coming into play. Like we know Antonio Brown's probably gonna be a stud, but if Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are gonna be out, Tyler Johnson, Brashad Perriman, like this right. is the week where you kind of find out who you're gonna put in your championship lineup, because honestly, 10, 12-man leagues, only one person wins per year. You're gonna remember this for a long time, whether you win or whether you lose. So if you put somebody in your lineup and it's painful when you say, why did I do that? You know what I mean? So you got to trust the guys you're putting in. And I think this is the final week that we're going to get where we can really look at some of these guys and say, was I smart to put that guy in, or was I getting a little too cute? So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Tyler Johnson, of course. Scotty Miller, potentially. He played a bunch of snaps last week. I don't know if Perriman was activated off COVID or not yet. I saw Arian say he could play, but I don't know if that official designation came down or not yet. But like you said, those are guys that are stepping in, and now you're looking at maybe these fringe flex plays or wide receiver threes, and you're wondering, all right, do I play Emmanuel Sanders today, or am I playing like a Josh Johnson, or not Josh Palmer, right? Josh Johnson starting today for Baltimore, right? Like, do you trust any of the Baltimore guys now, with Huntley gone? We've seen Mark Andrews be an absolute monster of late. You saw Marquise Brown with 14 targets last week. Josh Johnson did have that random spot play against the Colts when he was with the Jets and had a huge game, but he's a journeyman. He's a career backup. He's been in and out of the league. You're now in your playoffs and you have Mark Andrews or Marquise Brown. Obviously, you're playing Mark Andrews. You're not going to have another tight end, but like, do you play Hollywood despite the quarterback here? Or do you look to pivot to a Palmer or something like that with maybe a better quarterback play, Coop?
Yeah, it's scary, especially with so you take a Josh Johnson. A lot of times teams will just bring in someone that they know that they've had with the team. I mean, Josh Johnson never played for Baltimore. As far as I know, he never played with Greg Roman. Like, he wasn't with Greg Roman with the 49ers. He wasn't with them with the Bills. Like, so right. The number of plays that they're going to have ready for this guy is probably pretty small. So, there's probably going to be focal points that they go to. We're hoping it's Mark Andrews. We're hoping, it's Devonta Freeman, but the package of plays here is going to be. I mean, this guy didn't play for like 3 years, right? Like,
yeah, he was out of the league for a bit. He came back, I think, with like Washington a few years ago for like a random spot start game, right, or something like that.
He didn't play for like 5 years before that. Like, this guy is just hanging around. But that's why it's so risky with a player like that. Like, if this isn't Brian Hoyer playing for the Patriots, right? Like, where he knows all the plays and everything. This is a guy coming off
the backup for 20 years, just like learning the playbook, right?
Right. You're right. Exactly. Like, I mean, this guy, the package is going to be fairly small. So, I mean, who knows,
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's obviously some of the key storylines is really the decision-making process that we're going to have today, and trying to understand, the matchups that you like. the matchups that you don't like when it comes to who you want to trust and not trust here. Coop, I want to get your opinion here on teams as we are now. We're winding down towards the end of the regular season. Do you find any worry on teams that may be looking to lose versus teams that are still playing for something? We have obviously a matchup like Detroit versus Atlanta, where Atlanta surprisingly still kind of competitive, right? They're 6-8. If they were to win out, they could finish 9-8, maybe get themselves in a wild card spot. You have Jacksonville and New York, going up against the Jets, two bad teams. When it comes to maybe like playing guys in those matchups, is there any worry for you about these teams looking to lose at this point?
So I think, the way it works in this league is they teams do a good job of making sure things are competitive, and it's the GM's responsibility to set up the team for a tank. So you look at the Lions, they trade the quarterback, they let all the veterans leave to get comp picks,
right.
That you set it up that way. But from that point, the coach takes over and they play to win. Like Mekhi Becton said it last year with the Jets, where when they beat, they won that game against the Rams or the Browns, where they won 2 games and, messed up the draft pick. Mekhi Becton said, any Jets fans rooting for us to lose are not fans of the team. Mm-hmm. These guys are playing to win. I mean, Jared Goff, I know he's not playing this week, but he knows that the more games he wins, the farther down that pick moves and the less likely it is to be a quarterback. I mean, all these guys are playing for their jobs. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the guys that go on the field, I don't think for a second they're thinking about, we want to lose to get a better draft pick. So I think at this point, but what you're scared of is the coach and GM, on Wednesday morning in the locker room or wherever they meet saying, hey, you know what? We're not winning anything this year. Why don't we put, Trinity Benson in and see what he can do? Or why don't we put these guys in and see what they can do?
The live tryouts, right?
The live tryouts. That's what we're scared of. We're scared of the live tryout. But, I think for a team like Detroit, it comes down to that trust. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is the guy that they still want to see what he can do. He's in the Preston Williams chair where they're saying he's going to get a full look this year and see if he can carve out a role. So I think guys like that you're in on, but it is a little scary with the live tryout. Like the Jets wide receivers, I'm scared that they're just going to say, oh, hey, you know what? Let's see what DJ McDonald can do today, because why not?
Right. Yeah. So that brings up a good point too, because I've actually been getting some Braxton Barrios questions today. Obviously, Jamison Crowder not going to play. They're without Moore. They're without Davis. Without going too deep into the Jets depth chart here. Do you think a guy like Barrios is somebody that does get that extra look, or do they kind of know what he is and they move forward with some of the more lesser known Jets receivers here?
That's the scary thing, man, because he only played 19 of 57 snaps. So it's like on one hand, you look at it and say, give this guy more snaps, you get more production. But like you said, on the other hand, it's like they've got guys sitting on the team like Keelan Cole and Vincent Smith, and they might say, hey, we like Barrios, so let's see what these other guys can do and if they're going to be part of this organization moving forward. So there's always inherent risk there. With a guy like Barrios, my advice is this. Put in the guy that you trust the most, and then go make a DFS lineup with Braxton Barrios.
Right.
And then you can,
Sean, yeah.
Right. Then it's high fives all around. You know what I mean? Like you can enjoy it and not sit there and be like, why did I start a Jets wide receiver in my real league? So that's where I'm at with guys like that.
Yep. Let me ask you about Kansas City here. Obviously, we mentioned at the top, Travis Kelce is ruled out. Backup tight ends here. You said it's Noah Gray and Blake Bell. We often talk that there's not necessarily an automatic pivot on most of these teams. We've seen Ricky Seals-Jones slide in seamlessly into the Logan Thomas role, but is this something we're expecting here with Kelce out? Do we think a Gray or a Bell kind of fill in? And obviously, they're not going to give you Travis Kelce production, but are either of them usable at all today against Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I mean, Howard and I have, we do some talking about tight ends. He's the original tight end whisperer, and we talk about, one of the big things is the tight end room. You got to put yourself in the shoes of this coach, right? And think, okay, if I'm the tight end coach and I sit down with my crew and Travis Kelce's out and I look around the room and I say, who can do what, right? When I look at Blake Bell, I don't see a guy I'm like, okay, you're the receiving tight end now. This guy has played 7 snaps in the slot all season long. Travis Kelce plays almost 60% of his snaps in the slot. Blake Bell is not, he's the extra tackle on this team. Noah Gray is the guy. I mean, you mentioned Ricky Seals-Jones. Ricky Seals-Jones was on the Chiefs. They kept him on ice all year last year, inactive for certain games. But if Kelsey went down, which he didn't, that was the guy that comes in to be the pass catching guy. They let Ricky Seals-Jones go because I think Noah Gray is that guy now. So when you look around this room, I think they look at Noah Gray and say, okay, you're the best pass catcher of this group. Blake Bell, you're the best blocker of this group. That's how we're going to deploy things. Would I trust it in one of my lineups? No, because Noah Gray isn't Travis Kelce. But if, back against the wall, Noah Gray's the one I want. It's not Blake Bell. So that's where I'm at with those guys.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at some of Gray's metrics here. They're not terrible. He actually ran a similar 40 to Kelce again. Not that these things always matter, but you look at the speed score, you look at those numbers, a little bit similar to Kelce there. So yeah, you're right. At least if they're gonna sort of use them in a closer role, like their metrics kind of even out. Kelce's a little bit bigger than Gray is, so we'll give the lean there, but something to pay attention to if you're absolutely desperate. If you're like in a 14 team league, like Gray might be the only guy that's breathing available on your waiver wire to kind of pick up there. So that is, of course, unless we get like Dan Arnold news, who is designated to return, but we haven't actually gotten any official word as to whether or not he is or isn't active. I'm hoping no, because I would like to play O'Shaughnessy today. I unfortunately lost Patty Freiermuth. And the Steelers are kind of doing the same thing. They, Tomlin said, next man up for them at their tight end spot here with Freiermuth out, and it's not obviously Ebron. He's out, so I don't think you can really go in that direction either, Coop.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy the situation we're in. I mean, I like O'Shaughnessy. I don't think Dan Arnold. I had a Jaguars beat writer actually respond to a tweet I sent yesterday. He's saying that Dan Arnold unlikely to play, but the good thing about this live stream is that at 11:30, teams are pretty much required to have their inactives in. They're the 48 guys that they're going to have playing and the 5 guys they're going to have sitting. So we'll give that a quick run through when that comes up. If you go to fantasyalarm.com/inactives, I think we have one of the best looking pages for that out there, because we take the official report the moment it comes out, we get it up there with the spread, the changes in the numbers, and you can see for yourselves, who's in, who's out, and how that affects things. And every single week there's a name on that list that we say this changes things a little bit. Right. So,
for sure,
we'll go through that, shortly after 11:30 for you guys.
Yeah, exactly. As those come out, we'll get in there for you. So, cool. Let's just jump in. We got some questions now building up. Again, go over to the Fantasy Alarm Discord if you're not yet in there, and get into the live stream QA channel. Throw your start sit questions in there for Coop and I. Tune into the live stream as you're watching now and get your questions answered. Or if you're not, if you want to go ahead and just get a quicker answer, the NFL channel's in there. Justin Vreeland, James Grande, they're in there answering your questions right now. Dan Servadidio jumping in there shortly also to help you guys as we go into roster lock. So we definitely won't be leaving you guys hanging. We're here to help you guys win. So let's just jump in, Coop. First question that I'm seeing here. They want to know, pick 2 out of the 3 in a PPR league. Higgins, Swift, or Gage. I didn't see an official word on Swift. I knew he had been limited in practice. Do we know if he's actually active today or not? I know we obviously haven't gotten inactives yet, but let me see what the latest update on him was. Yeah. Seems questionable still with the shoulder. So, it is 1:00 game, so that answer may get done for you there. If he's inactive, you kind of know to play Higgins and Gage. But assuming all 3 are active, which one would you go with, Coop?
I mean, I can't possibly go away from Russell Gage right now.
Right.
Like, 8, 7, 12 targets. Like, he has 12 targets in 2 of the last 3 games. So I think, honestly, as crazy as it sounds, Russell Gage is probably the highest one ranked for me out of that group. So yeah. I'm definitely getting him in there. And then with the other 2, it's really depends on your aversion to risk, right? Like, obviously, no one has a higher ceiling, possibly in the entire league, than DeAndre Swift, but the floor is that he doesn't play. So
right, doesn't play or limited. He gets a wrong hit to that shoulder joint and it goes out. Plus, Jamal Williams is active today, so there is the potential that Swift is active and they kind of limit him going back in. I like Higgins a lot today. I like Burrow a lot today. Again, I know this game became maybe potentially a little bit less competitive with Huntley now out. But Baltimore still has, Cincinnati still has to score. Baltimore secondary has been bad. It's, again, we've talked about it a lot. The reasons that Harbaugh's gone for it, those 2-point conversions at the end of games lately, has been he doesn't trust his secondary Coop in overtime to hold out. So, I think Higgins engaged for me is probably the safer play. So I'm with you there, DJ. I'm going to go in that direction. Lebo wants to know in a PPR, need a wide receiver and a flex from Thielen, Waddle, Beckham, and our boy Melvin Gordon here.
That is another tough one. I mean, I think that you can't go away from Waddle right now. I think Waddle is one that I'm definitely getting in there. Is it just one player that he needs, or
wide receiver and a flex? So and a flex. Basically two of that group. To your Waddle point, we could see Lattimore on Devontae Parker this week. You got Waddle in that more favorable matchup in the slot. I'm with you there. Target monster there for Waddle. So of the other group, Thielen potentially returning today against the Rams. OBJ, great matchup against the Vikings. The last week it was just the Cooper Kupp show again, and then Melvin Gordon, split backfield, but really good spot against the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, I think of that crew, I'm going Odell. He's it's a good matchup again. The Vikings, you can kind of do whatever you want against that team. Thielen. Not only is he coming off an ankle, which is rough, but he was pretty touchdown dependent in general. And in full PPR, he's not nearly as appealing as he is in standard half. So, right. And then of course Melvin splitting, which kind of caps the ceiling. That's the problem I have with Melvin is I do like Melvin. He's a guy that I trust, but there's just no world where they give Melvin 20 carries unless Javonte Williams is also getting 20 carries. There's just no need to do it. That's the problem that I have with him is that his ceiling is capped by the nature of you're not going to just give the guy every single carry like a Jonathan Taylor. So I think I'm going to go Odell and Waddle. I don't know if you would do anything differently, John.
No, I think I would largely say that. I mean, not only is the Thielen thing potentially worrisome is the fact that Ramsey's been playing a lot of slot corner this year. Now, I'm not saying that Ramsey, of course, wouldn't man up on Jefferson if he was just killing him. But, I mean, we've seen this a lot this year where Ramsey this year hasn't really been traveling, right? It's the old Richard Sherman, where Sherman's like, I'll handle this side of the field. You worry about the rest of the field. Ramsey's kind of doing that. He's like, I'll handle this spot. You worry about the rest of the defense. And he has traveled a little bit. We've seen him obviously man up on Metcalf a handful of times and whatnot and travel there. But I'm with you. I do like Gordon a lot this week, but just the idea of throwing against the Vikings secondary is very much appealing. Minor note here, Coop, and maybe more news could come down from this. The Chiefs are going to be without 3 coaches today due to COVID protocols. So QB coach, running back coach, and offensive line coach, all not part of the game today due to COVID. So kind of going around that team, as we know, Tyreek Hill was able to get out of COVID protocols. Travis Kelce was not. And now they're losing some coaches here. So maybe something to pay attention to. I mean, listen, if the running back coach is popping potentially, does that mean we may get a running back taken out of this by the day's end here? So something to watch for as we continue to get late breaking news on this stuff. So next question here. We have Mahomes or Stafford in a 6-point touchdown league.
Well, I mean, John, you're the guy that's connected to, because with quarterback, more than any other position, you got to be connected to the trends of these offenses, especially the gambling trends, the way that things are moving. I mean, that's your neck of the woods here, John. Yeah. So who do you like out of these two guys?
Yeah, I'm going to go Stafford today. Again, Mahomes has been looking better of late, but you're taking away his safety blanket there in Travis Kelce, which means you're kind of leaving him to just big plays with Hill, right? Now, Pittsburgh's defense on both sides, both running and passing, has been atrocious this season. But I feel better about the running game for Kansas City today with CEH going up against Pittsburgh and just sort of the lack of offensive potential that they now have without Kelce and Hill hasn't practiced all week and whatnot. So I worry a bit about Mahomes here. So I'll take Stafford going up against this bad Vikings pass defense. At the very least, you can always count on him throwing to Cooper Kupp. But I said also Van Jefferson's usually good for a long touchdown. And OBJ minus last week has been pretty solid. So give me the Stafford play this week.
Yeah, and I think of the remaining games, this one is the closest to like a 50-point over under. The spread's at least close. Like
Yeah,
this one, the Vegas is predicting a lot of scoring, and Vegas is usually pretty spot on with stuff. So,
generally.
in the Chiefs game, the over under is only like 40, 44 or so, and the Chiefs are projected to win big. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't look like it's being projected to be a shootout. So I think you're right on that one, John.
Yeah, the Chiefs defense has actually been pretty good. They could certainly carry them today against the Steelers team. That you just never know who's going to show up here. So bad offensive line going on there. Our producer Matt Sell's letting me know that it's expected to snow today in Seattle. I don't know if that impacts how you feel about the Seattle team here, but we do have a question that includes Gerald Everett. So let me get this on you. You need a tight end and a flex. Michelle, Mooney, Van Jefferson, or Judy for your flex question there.
Yeah, so for the flex of that group, man, it rings in my ears, the Sean McVay saying that they're going with game flow, they're going with the hot hand. I really, truly hate that,
Right.
But
Michelle's been very good though. So
he has been very good. So he's probably the safest one at the flex there. I mean, and this is kind of leading into the next question, but of these tight ends where it's Kmet, Everett, and O'Shaughnessy, I like Kmet best, which means I really don't want to put Mooney in there and just put my entire week on the shoulders of Nick Foles. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
not to mention that game's being played in Seattle. So like, I don't know how much snow. If Sal's wants to type in the full weather report for us here and find out, are we getting a blizzard? Are we getting whiteout conditions? Are we getting a flurry? We're from the Northeast, right, Coop? So people say snow. Snow shuts down parts of the country when it's an inch. Up here, we're going to the beach still. So,
right.
I'd like to know. I'd like to know just how much snow we're expected to get here. But that could certainly change the outlook of that game for sure. Maybe a little bit. Again, snow's actually better, right? Like you can throw, you can play. I watched Tom Brady throw like 6 touchdowns against Tennessee in a blizzard once. So, anything's possible, really.
Right. That's where I'm at. Is that it's actually, and what's crazy is that, a lot of studies out there have shown that it's not really even the rain that's the problem either. It's the wind that ends up being the problem. So, that's what it boils down to. If it's not crazy windy or really nasty, then it's not that big a deal for me in terms of that. Plus, sometimes
he's saying it's supposed to be 2 to 3 inches falling during the game. So it's kind of a lot of snow to fall during a game. So
yeah. I mean, hey, but Komet's a low A dot player.
True.
So, I mean, it's like, that's why I probably steer away from Mooney, who is the speedy field stretcher, and I go more towards a Komet. So for me, I think I'm going Michelle, and I think I'm going Komet for that team.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That's fine by me as well. Do you like Shaughnessy today against the Jets if he's the guy?
I do. And, we'll find out 11:30, or it's actually 11:30 now. So we'll find out soon if Dan Arnold's active. I don't think he is. And if he isn't, then O'Shaughnessy is even better spot than he was last week. Last week, he got his 10 PPR points, which is all you can really ask for in this world, right? This week, there's no Laviska Shenault, right? So no Laviska Chenault's gone. Jamal Agnew's been out. They don't have anyone else that really occupies that low A dot role. So for me, O'Shaughnessy is about as safe as it gets,
Yeah, for sure. All right, next matchup here. Need 2 full PPR. They played Jonathan Taylor last night. They have Alvin Kamara, James Robinson, or Alexander Madison. Need 2 of that group. I don't know how you said Alvin Kamara. So
you can't live with yourself doing it. I mean, like last year, can you imagine you sat Alvin Kamara last year around this time? He scored 6 touchdowns. Yeah, like you would. I mean, you'd have to live under a rock. You'd have to leave your league. So. Alvin Kamara is in. And then for me, Alexander Madison, anytime Dalvin Cook is out, he's a must-start player for me. That's just how it goes with that particular player, is that we've seen him have monster games going back to last year at the end of the year. Week 17 last year, he had a monster game. This year, with Dalvin Cook out, he's had monster games. So that's where I'm going.
I am. All right, DeAndre Swift officially inactive. So Jamal Williams against Atlanta. Probably a decent play. Again, the quarterback situation there, not great without Goff, but it wasn't good with Goff. So I don't really know how much totally changes there, but Swift officially inactive, getting that news now. My thing is that Robinson obviously has, I think, the best matchup, right? The Jets have allowed 21 rushing touchdowns this year. They actually committed to Robinson last week. Surprise, Urban Meyer's gone. Carlos Hyde ends up inactive, and they feed Robinson. So I'm going to split the difference with you here, Coop. I'm going to lean Robinson actually over Madison. Madison running up against the Rams rather. Donald and all that group doesn't really instill too much confidence here. You're not wrong though. I think any other week Madison would be the lock and load play. But Robinson against the Jets, I gotta go that direction.
I mean, you basically have 3 of the top 5, 6 running backs this week. Like you really almost can't go wrong. So I'm fully on board with James Robinson. I mean, it's like one of those 3 players is probably going to be the number 1 running back this week. Right?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
It's like great matchups. It's like maybe Najee Harris against the Chiefs. I mean, who else is in that crew? It's like Joe Mixon, Zeke Elliott are banged up. There's like not many guys that are in like smash.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's spending up for a running back today. I think it's all value. So
exactly, Cordell Patterson
Patterson is like the top guy that I would spend up for. Yeah,
right. It's like crazy. It's like there's. It's interesting that those are the. Who would have guessed that this week it's like James Robinson, Cordell Patterson, and Alexander Madison are the best starts, but they kind of are.
So. Yeah, I've been telling people to sit like Barkley and Zeke this week if they had like Jackson. I'm like, no, they're just too tough to rely on. I read an article or a story that Tony Pollard is like off the injury report. So Zeke is still half banged up and Pollard's good to go. Like. Can you even really trust? I know you're not the biggest Pollard guy, but Zeke he's splitting carries with Corey Clement. I mean, it's just
you have to factor it in. It's what's crazy about this. It's like and again, like Mixon's a guy that's banged up. Like a healthy James Robinson against the Jets is about as good as it gets. So
really does.
I'm on board with that.
Our guy home run here needs to know in a full PPR: Miles Sanders, Ronald Jones, or Josh Jacobs.
Wow. Just one?
Yep.
I mean, that's crazy.
The volume on Sanders was nice last week. He just didn't score, which was the problem.
Right. And I saw a stat that basically suggested that the Eagles line has generated over 1,500 yards before contact, which is more yards than some teams have rushed for on the season. So like those, I mean, that guard there, he's one of the best. Brandon Brooks is one of the best. It's like him and Quentin Nelson is like the best guys in the league at run blocking. But at the same time, like Ronald Jones is another great start. Like it's I have a hard time.
Yeah, Ronald Jones in that offense for sure. With no real that was the one thing for me. It was like no real competition behind him.
Right.
In Carolina this year, 24th. In DVOA against the run. So, I'm probably leaning the Ronald Jones route here as well. He does have some pass catching ability. And I think Gio Bernard is still out, right? So, he could be getting those. We've seen Leonard Fournette, heavily involved in the passing game lately. So we could see Rojo here also in a good spot. So home run, we're going to go Ronald Jones here over that group. Cubby Bear needs 2 in a PPR. Antonio Gibson, who's questionable to play tonight, Javonte Williams, and Justin Jackson. I'm leaning the last 2 here.
I mean, I'm with you. Like Justin Jackson is in a smash spot this week. Like that's against the Texans.
Yeah.
With no Eckler, like that's a play that if you have Justin Jackson on your lineup on your roster, then you've done good. You know what I mean? Like that's a play for seasoned fantasy veterans. So I would, if you were able to get him and set that up, then I'd go with that for sure. And then what's the other option there? Oh yeah, Javonte Williams.
Yeah, Javonte. Yeah, you're playing Javonte. So it's also the fact that the Gibson's the 8 p.m. game. So if he doesn't play, you don't have anybody. So
right, he's got the turf toe has ended careers. I mean, Sean Alexander got turf toe and he was never the same. LaDainian Tomlinson got turf toe, and it doesn't sound like a bad injury, but it actually is not a good injury to have if you're a running back.
Yep. Jameson Crowder is officially inactive for today. Quinlan Williams is also out for the Jets today due to COVID. So you're talking about defensive linemen there, maybe making it a little bit easier for Robinson to run. So he's got a second part to this question. Would you start either of these two over Darnell Mooney today, Devontae Parker or Chase Claypool?
I mean, I can't trust Claypool. I mean, he's been in the doghouse. He hasn't been playing a full snap share. I do like Devontae Parker, though.
Yeah,
so
I would play Parker, I think. Again, what Nick Foles? What are we getting there, right? Like
get Nick Foles, and also, I mean, you can justify it. Our producer Matt Sells just popped in and says we're gonna have 2 to 3 inches of snow during the game. That's that is the snow that you can visibly see the big pieces coming down on your TV screen. You know what I mean? So, I go Parker. I like him.
Our guy here, Butchie, wants to know: do you play the Philly defense today against the Giants, or our New England Patriots here home against Buffalo?
I mean, when you read it out loud like that, it seems pretty obvious. Philly. I think Philly's 10-point favorites against the Giants. Like, I'm not starting anybody against Buffalo. Josh Allen, the guy's a hoss. He just is a guy. He's becoming a guy that just finds ways to get it done. I'm rooting for the Patriots, obviously, and I hope they win. But Josh Allen, there's no way they come into New England and don't score points. Like, it's gonna be. There's
not 50-mile-an-hour winds today, so.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like that the Patriots game is going to be a real football game, whereas the Eagles game might be a game where the Giants are just going to lie down. So
I agree with you there as well. Full PPR, Braxton Barrios at KJ Osborne today.
Wow. I don't trust Barrios to play enough snaps. So I'm going KJ Osborne, but Barrios is kind of the hot pick. Every week you see that there's guys that trend on Twitter, they become the trendy play, and I think Barrios is one of those guys. But a lot of times those Twitter picks, they're being made by people that are just trying to get something out there where they can say, "Hey, I told you to start Barrios, and look what happened." Right. It's more of a reach than anything. So for me, I'm a little concerned about Barrios. What do you think, John?
Yeah, so for me here, and I had this conversation with Howard Bender on the Fantasy Alarm Show, in a conversation more towards DFS leaning, but there was guys in similar situations like a Laquan Treadwell, like a Braxton Barrios at like similar price points. But we did see Barrios play 40% of the snaps 2 weeks ago, and he had 10 targets in that game. Last week, obviously, he wasn't nearly as involved, but now there's no Crowder. So I do wonder if he goes out there and he plays another 40, 50% of the snaps just as that slot guy. But is a higher risk play. But if Thielen is back, are you playing Osborne? I mean, would you which one do you think is the most potential to produce here?
Somebody else besides these two players, potentially.
I mean, I'm leaning Barrios. I think if Thielen, that's where
I mean, I think you got to look at your matchup, and if you're in a hole or you think that you need the extra juice, Barrios has a higher upside. Because again, KJ Osborne is one of those guys where they're not going to, he's not a guy that's going to get 10 targets, whereas Barrios, you never know in that offense. So I think I'm with you, John. Go if those are your only options, Barrios does have the higher upside.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you there as well. Let's see here. Next question. Big Daddy Lewis, he missed out starting Chase Edmonds last night. He's got Robinson and Cordarrelle. Do you have any issues, or would you replace one of them with Melvin Gordon? So I'm keeping Robinson and Cordarrelle Patterson. As much as I like Melvin Gordon, those are the two I'm running with.
Yeah, agreed. Like we just said, those guys are likely, potentially both top 5 running backs this week. Like they're both in good spots.
Yep, I'm with you there. Let's see. PPR. Well, PPR doesn't matter for quarterback play. Josh Allen or Joe Burrow today?
Man, that's tough because normally you would just say Josh Allen, right? And I think you might still. It sucks that he's missing Beasley and Gabe Davis. Kind of their own fault. But I think I still go Josh Allen. I mean, like I said, he's a gamer and a playmaker. But what do you think, John?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Josh Allen. I think here.
Especially if
the mobility, I think matters too.
Yeah, if it's 4-point passing for sure. Like if it's 4 versus 6, then it's not even a question. In 4-point passing leads, you start Josh Allen for sure. But I think even in 6, you go Josh Allen.
Yeah, I agree with you there as well. Let's see. I need 1.5 PPR. Gibson, Michelle, Gage, or McLaurin. How far Terry McLaurin has fallen.
Man, Terry, that's brutal because I don't like McLaurin this week at all. I think honestly I'm starting Russell Gage. he's just been getting peppered with targets. So, I mean, I don't know. What do you think, John? He does have a who's he have this week?
Yeah, it's Gage for me here as well. I think that's where I'm running. So
right, it's the Lions, and the Falcons have a reason to play to win. You know what I mean? So I don't see why they wouldn't pour it on the Lions this week. So
yeah, I agree with you there. To see DJ Moore, Devontae Parker, Armon St. Well, there's like a billion guys here. Need 5. Dallas, man, come on. The rest, I mean, you do a little bit of the work on your own here, man. Moore, Parker, St. Brown, Thielen, Palmer, Zeke, Jackson, Barkley. So you're basically, you need ours to start 2 running backs minimum. You need 5 minimum, 2 running backs. Yeah. Jackson for sure. Parker, Brown, Thielen, Zeke probably.
I'm definitely starting the 2 running backs. All right, let's make this easy here. Sure. The 2 running backs are Zeke and Jackson. Yeah. Right. So now you need to start 3 players, anyone from that list.
Right.
I'm starting the first 3 wide receivers.
You're starting more. I don't know if I'm starting more.
I'm not starting Josh Palmer. No way.
Why not? You don't like Josh Palmer against Houston?
I like Josh Palmer. No
Guyton, no Mike Williams.
I'm a big Josh Palmer fan, but he's a possession type receiver. Like that's his skill set. He's kind of a boom bust touchdown guy. Like he's not particularly fast. They drafted him because of his ability to win in one-on-one situations, but I don't know if that's particularly appealing to me in PPR league. Like I'm definitely starting St. Brown. I'm definitely starting Devontae Parker.
Sure.
Yeah.
My worry, here's my worry with DJ Moore, is that rule came out and said that Sam Darnold's going to have like select sets to play today. So you have Cam Newton / Sam Darnold against Tampa Bay. I don't know, like that worries me, right? I know the target share has been there, but like that's my trouble.
I'll tell you what, if this is my league, personally, I'm starting Zeke, Jackson, and Saquon Barkley. And then I'm starting Devontae Parker and I'm on Russ St. Brown. That's what I would personally do. I'm starting Saquon Barkley. It's the semifinals, and he was your first round pick, and he's still Saquon Barkley. It's the Eagles. I mean,
yeah,
you just go with it, you know?
Okay. So just because we haven't touched upon it yet, Damien Harris this week. I mean, obviously the Patriots ran all over the Buffalo Bills last time. I can't imagine Buffalo's going to let them run again, but there is no Ramondre Stevenson today. So
yeah, Damien Harris is a good start too. That's why when I look at this, I don't even know why the name Josh Palmer even needs to be on that list. He's just such a risky. Put Josh Palmer in a DFS lineup.
Yeah, there you go. I agree with you there for sure. Yeah. All right, next question that we got here. Ann, good morning. Wide receiver and a flex in a PPR. Damien Harris, Justin Jackson, Emmanuel Sanders, Devonta Smith, and DJ Moore. So a couple guys who just discussed here. Need 1 receiver, 1 flex of that group.
Well, I'm starting Justin Jackson. Justin Jackson is versus the Texans. It's just there's no reason for them not to give him the ball a ton of times. And then what do you think for the wide receiver, John?
I'm probably I guess I'm going to lean more because Devonta Smith I'm not going to trust. Sanders is somewhat interesting because we talk about the Patriots and how they defend. They're going to take away Diggs. They're going to take away Knox. Sanders could be that guy left open. They're not going to run the football, I don't think. So Sanders could be that guy, but I'll entertain your DJ Moore here because he is going to at least get targets. So
it's Tampa Bay, like they're going to have to throw.
Yeah,
you know, but it's not. I'm much more excited about Justin Jackson. I wish there was a way you could start Justin Jackson and Damien Harris.
I agree. Big Daddy Lewis doesn't have Kelsey now. He played Pittman last night. He needs 1 receiver with a lot of upside. So he has Mooney, Waddle, or Moore.
I mean, there's no. In terms of upside, I mean, is there anybody that has kind of the equivalent of Jalen Waddle? I mean, and any given
targets wise, everything there going.
You say, like, I look at that list and I say, which of those guys could get 14 targets? And it's Jalen Waddle, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. So, let's see. Next question here. Quarterbacks, 4-point touchdowns. Carr, Foles, Heineke, Ryan, or Wilson?
He's got to start 2 or just 1?
No, 1.
Oh.
Carr, Foles, Heineke, Ryan, or Wilson. It could be Matt Ryan this week, truthfully.
Against Detroit, and they get the must-win game. There's no reason for them to hold anything back, so I think that's it. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to start Derek Carr against Denver, so I would go Ryan.
Yeah, and then he needs a PPR running back: Coleman, Patterson, Hardman, or I guess not running back, just regular PPR: Coleman, Patterson, Hardman, Callaway, Smith. Who's T. Smith? Why am I blanking on
Traquan Smith.
Traquan Smith, Josh Reynolds are on the wire.
God, that is such a bad group of players.
I mean, Patterson could be the main guy tonight against the Cowboys, but like it's not really a good game environment to run the football. Hill is active, so Hardman's kind of maybe a backseat, or Hardman gets a bump because there's no Kelsey available, and they put him on the field more. I mean, Ian Book is the quarterback for the Saints, so hard to really trust any of those receivers. It could be Josh Reynolds. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it honestly is Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Josh Reynolds there, my guy.
He's playing a full snap share. You know, him and ARSB have been the guys that are out there in 3 wide receiver sets, and they stay out there for 2 wide. So
have they announced the starting quarterback for Detroit yet? Is it Blau or is it Boyle?
I think it's Boyle. Last I heard it was Tim Boyle. But do you want to hit the inactive page quick?
Yeah. So Matt Breida is in. I'm just wondering. Matt Breida is inactive, but Zach Moss is active. I think maybe that leads to a fact that maybe they are going to try to run the football a little bit more today against New England. But yeah, I'll go over right now. Lions. We touched upon Swift is out. Jamar Jefferson is also out for the Falcons. Tajay Sharp not active today. Maybe a little bit more of a boost for Gage for as well as he has been playing. Our producer Matt Sells saying the Chargers don't have anybody inactive. I don't know if that's just not out yet, or if they just don't have enough players to actually have to have guys inactive. So we'll have to continue to pay attention to that one. The Jets, Walter, P. Ryan, Crowder, we talked about already being out. Mike Evans, we knew that is out for the Buccaneers today, as is Antoine Winfield and Jason Pierre-Paul. Texans, Danny Amendola is out. David Johnson is out for Houston, so Rex Burkhead day.
Rexy,
going up against the Chargers. Again, the Bills, I only see Matt Breida in, but I saw a tweet that Zach Moss is active today, so good news potentially for their star. Was it Lou Tulele? He's out. That's a big man in the middle.
That is
slow. Potentially gone. No Nelson Aguilar for the Patriots today, but Kendrick Bourne was able to come off the COVID list, so he's active. We knew that Cam Akers wasn't going to travel. You just kind of activated him for his pension benefits. Good on the Rams to do that. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson, as we knew, and Huntley not active. I think the issue is you don't need to list some of these guys on COVID as inactives because they're kind of on the COVID list, so that could have something to do with it. And then the Bengals, Trayvon Williams is out, but again, not somebody that was overly expected to play there. So any names that I didn't go over, maybe jumping out to you here?
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm interested to see if the Chargers will have Derwin James, but I mean, they play the Texans, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Amir Smith-Marset, you mentioned him. That's kind of a boost for KJ Osborne, that pretty much one of their only other wide receivers that they've used at all isn't going to play. So, but yeah, beyond that, nothing too crazy. Devin Duvernay. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything yet on Dan Arnold. I guess that's my...
I will say this, for the fact that Patrick Ricard is inactive for the Ravens is a good thing for the wide receivers. Yes. The fact that the fullback isn't playing for the Ravens is a good thing for wide receivers, because every time you put the fullback on the field, someone has to come off, and it's always a wide receiver. You're not taking the running back out. You're not taking Mark Andrews out. So, Rashad Bateman might be the guy that comes out for Patrick Ricard to go in the game. So the fact that they don't have their fullback is kind of a good thing for the wide receivers, as crazy as that sounds.
So it's looking like, and I guess if we trust this, it's a Twitter account. Jacksonville Jaguars team reporter Ashlyn Sullivan responded to a question to Dan Arnold being active today, and he replied, "Yes, he is." So
what?
Dan Arnold looking to be active for today. So those who are in need of a tight end, pivot, as Ross would say. So, good luck to those there. I'm looking to see if we have any other source of confirmation on that, but that is at least the most recent. It wasn't a direct report; it was just a question to an answer. So, something to look at to see if we get any further confirmation on that. So, seeing right now if there's anything more to that one. All right, let's just get back in here.
The guy you want to look to that I do for Jaguars is John Shipley. Interested to see if he puts an update out there on Dan Arnold. But so keep an eye on Shipley to see what he says. But
maybe we'll send him a tweet. We'll find out if he's active or not today.
Yeah.
Because he's so far that's the only person reporting it. I feel like if that was true, we may start getting more reports. So we'll have to wait and see. All right, let's get back into these questions here. PPR: Tyler Johnson, Javonte Parker.
I'm sorry, I'm messaging John Shipley.
Okay. Actually, so that tweet just got deleted, Coop. So
yeah, so that's the question: is that if they opened his window, but they have 3 weeks to activate him. So if they never activated him in the first place, they don't have to make him inactive. So that's the question, really, is that I think people are assuming because he's not on the inactive list that he's playing, but he might not even be eligible to play if they haven't promoted him to the 53-man roster. So
right.
Hopefully this guy squares this up for us. I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, for sure. Here we go. She just updated. Apologize. He is not active, not yet pulled up to the team, to the active roster. So quick responses. So positive there if everybody's watching here. Not active for today. So James O'Shaughnessy, fire him up, officially not called up off the COVID list. So glad we got that out of the way. For all the James O'Shaughnessy talk that we needed for today.
Just really important that nobody is getting more in depth on the Jaguars tight ends than we are today.
Than we are. All right, so back to chat here because we got some questions. Hideout wants to know in a PPR: Tyler Johnson, Javonte Parker.
Javonte Parker.
Gesicki 1.5 point tight end or Madison in PPR. So 1.5 super. Tight end premium league, Gesicki or Madison?
Madison.
Okay. Ann wants to know running back or flex, Jackson, CEH, Moore, and Higgins.
I'm going with Justin Jackson and T. Higgins. I like the matchup for Higgins. The Ravens have made some brutal mistakes this year, and I don't see why that would stop. So,
yeah, that's fine. Sanders or St. Brown?
Can't go away from Amon-Ra St. Brown right now. He's just Tim Boyle's the quarterback. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going Sanders. I like him today, and just given the matchup, though.
Yep.
Kind of a big play guy, can be at times as well. So, let's see. PPR: Madison, Penny, Jones, Harris.
I'm going anywhere like I said earlier, anywhere I have Madison, I'm finding a way to get him in my lineup, and I'm probably starting Ronald Jones. They got nobody else, and they're missing pass catchers across the board. So I think he's going to get the ball a decent amount.
Yep, I'm with you there. Let's see. Need 2 in a PPR: Antonio Brown, Jamar Chase, Marquise Brown, Amari Cooper.
I love the idea of starting Antonio Brown this week. Like, he never stopped being good at football at any point. So I'm starting AB, and then what do you think from the rest of those guys, John?
Chase.
Yep. Yeah.
Brown Chase. DJ Moore, Devontae Parker, St. Brown. Dallas, man, come on, man. We already answered this question.
We did, yeah.
Gotta watch the stream. Pay attention to the answers. DJ, would you play Melvin Gordon over Gage or Higgins today?
In full PPR, Russell Gage is about as safe as it gets. He honestly might be a top 10 wide receiver for me in the way I have them ranked in full PPR. So 12 targets is 12 targets. I mean, what are you going to do?
Let's see here. Thoughts on Bengals defense for streaming today? I mean, Josh Johnson's the quarterback for Baltimore, so can certainly go ahead and take a run at Cincinnati at home. There, Tate won't hate you. Gary wants to know Shaughnessy and Moreau in a PPR.
O'Shaughnessy. Moreau is just not. I mean, neither one of them in a vacuum is that good. But O'Shaughnessy with no Laviska Shenault against the Jets is about as good as it's going to get.
Jets have allowed the 5th most yards, I think, the tight ends, and 6th most touchdowns. So not a good team. We saw, again, Dallas Goedert was like wearing the cape of invisibility or something like that against them a few weeks back, and was able to just tear them apart. So would you bench Zeke for Melvin Gordon or Sony Michel in a PPR league?
Nope. I think if you've got 3 guys that are all in a timeshare to a certain degree, you start the best one, which is Zeke.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Chargers or Pats for Lumberjacks for 3 full PPR: Najee Harris, Alexander Mattison, Barkley, Mixon, or Harris. So Najee, Damien, Alexander Mattison, Barkley, Mixon, D3.
I'm starting Najee Harris. There's no substitute for playing every single play. So Najee Harris is in for me, and I'm also starting Alexander Mattison. From the rest of those guys, I would normally start Mixon, but the injury has me a little worried. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I agree with you. If it comes to a blowout too, they may just run Samaje Perine or something and save Mixon here. So
I think Damien Harris is a pretty safe play.
Okay. Yeah, Harris I think is safe as well. For 3, you can't sit Najee Harris and Damien Harris, so it would be between Barkley and Madison. I might go Madison here. I might go Madison over Barkley. All right, Roddy wants to know Chargers or Pats. I'm going to go Chargers versus Houston for defense.
Easily.
Yep. KC defense at home against Pittsburgh or Seattle D at home against Chicago in the snow.
Seattle against the backup quarterback, third string quarterback. I don't care if it's Nick Foles. It's third string quarterback. You start. That's the play. I mean, the over under for that game, it's like 40 points. Yeah. So at least you're making sure that it shouldn't be a situation where your defense is getting you like -10.
Right. Stoney wants to know: do you drop the Saints defense for Cincy today? Saints against Miami or Cincy again against Josh Johnson?
Yeah, I do that. I mean,
I would go Cincy there. Roddy wants to know Jamal Williams, Claypool, or Van Jefferson.
Jamal Williams, Claypool, or Van Jefferson. Oh man, I'm not starting Claypool. You can't. It's
hard to trust. So it's Van Jefferson or Jamal Williams, who's going to be the starting running back today for. Or you know what? They could still mix Craig Williams or Craig Williams. I mean Craig Reynolds. They can still use Craig Reynolds today. So maybe Van Jefferson. I
like Van Jefferson. Yeah,
we'll go Van Jefferson here.
Highly consolidated snap share for the Rams. So I like that.
Nick Folk or Greg Zuerlein as kicker today.
I like Nick Folk, man. He's been good. The Patriots have not hesitated to wheel him out there for big kicks. I think he's the guy you want.
Let's see here. Chargers or Dolphins, D?
Chargers against the Texans.
And then Stoney wants to know Zeke, Madison, or Javonte need 2.
Oh man, that's tough, bro. I think I like. I'm not starting Javonte, just because that's a 50-50 split.
And it's a standard league too, so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Madison because he's gonna get the full workload.
Yeah, he is, and it's Madison. Like I said, Madison's one of those guys where you can never. If you put him in there, you won't feel bad about making that decision. Even if he doesn't do well, it's the right play.
I agree with you. So that wraps it up here. So go Madison there at 12 o'clock, Coop. We're still in Discord answering your questions over to the NFL channel. So make sure to get in there, get your answers. We'll be in it with you guys till roster lock. Coop, any final thoughts here for everybody?
Yeah, I do have a final thought. And that's that, if you're tuning into this broadcast, that means you're a Fantasy Alarm member or enthusiast, or at least you follow me or John on Twitter. And that means that you take this seriously, you're paying attention to the right details, and you deserve to win this week. So I hope you win your matchups. I hope you win your DFS. And, thanks for tuning in with us all year long. Even if you don't win, we hope you guys tune in with us next week and the week after, and we'll talk ball and have fun, because that's what this is about. So happy holidays, everybody. And enjoy football while it's here, because in a couple months we'll be talking about the draft and it just won't be the same. So have fun today.
For sure. All right, everybody. We'll catch you guys later. Good luck. And next week, here we go.